Hello everyone and welcome to the first video on our chapter in ecology, the life on planet X. We are going to be working our way through chapters 1, 3, and 4 as we start into this new unit. We're going to start our time in this unit in biomes. So today you're learning about the parts of the biosphere and how they contribute to different biomes and how biomes are classified. You're going to also learn about the factors that make biomes different all over the world. So today's job is you can identify three parts that make up the biosphere, the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Explain how rain and warmer temperatures change where a biome is located. And then you're going to define what is a limiting factor and what is abiotic. So let's start off with the big idea of ecology and what we're studying in this unit. So this is the Greek word meaning house or home. It really just means the study of all the relationships between all the living things we see, so organisms, and all their non-living things, the environment. When we talk in this unit, we're going to use a lot of vocabulary. So let's be very cognizant about the words we're using. So when I say living things, I'm going to use the word biotic. And when I say non-living things, I'm going to use the word abiotic. So we're going to start off talking about the biosphere. So what is the biosphere? Well, it's essentially all the areas on Earth that is inhabited and supports life. So there's three parts. There's the atmosphere, which is essentially the sky. Okay, so there's different layers to the atmosphere as you go up closer and closer to leaving Earth's atmosphere. There's different layers, but essentially just the sky, the air we breathe, all of that, that's one. Hydrosphere refers to the water that's found on planet Earth. So all of the aquatic ecosystems that we talk about belong in the hydrosphere. And lastly, the geosphere, or also known as litho. Geo means rock, so does litho. Lithic means rock as well. This just means all the areas that are inhabited by terrestrial terrain, so rocky terrain where trees and humans. So all ecosystems in our world have to interact, and those interactions make up what we call the biosphere, the largest ecosystem, okay? It includes all parts of the Earth that are inhabited by some type of life. So if you think about it, all of these have crossovers in areas. Obviously, the atmosphere touches the lithosphere and hydrosphere. Our hydrosphere touches the lithosphere. So everything is inhabited, and different creatures can live between different areas. So for example, a frog lives on land and in water. Okay, animals like ducks or geese fly in the air, but also live on the water and eat food from there. So lots of life inhabits multiple areas of our entire biosphere. All right, so they interact very much so. So this leads us to this idea of climate and biomes. So our hydrosphere, lithosphere, and atmosphere are the big picture, the biosphere, which is the world. But now we have to think in terms of sections on the world, okay? So that's where biomes come into place. So we're going to start by defining what is climate. Climate essentially refers to average weather patterns in an area over a particular time period. So climate for Medicine Hat is we have 4 seasons, a fall, a winter, a summer, and a spring. And we can say on average, our summers are quite warm, our winters are quite cold, okay? We have a very usually rainy / sleety spring, and our fall is usually a warmer fall, and as it enters into winter. Okay, so that's our climate. It tells us about the different types of conditions, weather conditions we see in our area. Now, a big part of this, how we determine climate, is how much rain falls and how warm or cold it is in an area. So if we take Medicine Hat and compared it to, let's say, California, our climate is very different. We have different amounts of rainfall. Our temperatures vary differently, especially in precipitation. If you think they don't get snow at all in some areas of California, we get lots of snow. That is how we determine different areas on Earth and how biomes are determined. So if we look at the unequal heating of the atmosphere that sets up conditions, okay, our patterns of trade winds are established through ocean currents, and they interact with physical features such as mountains, islands, and lakes. And so we see a large variety of how precipitation happens. So if we take Canada, for instance, if you look at places that are near the ocean, St. John's, Halifax, Victoria, all of those areas, they're going to have a very high, Toronto and Quebec, which are near Great Lakes, okay, they have a higher precipitation rate, okay? Why? Because rain evaporates off of the bodies of water, okay? So water evaporates up, and then it rains back roughly in the spot where it is. We, on the other hand, in Alberta, okay, which is not listed on here, I don't believe, okay? This is just, Edmonton, sorry, that's right, because it's capital cities. Edmonton, if you look at, okay, our average temperature and our rainfall, our average temperature is up there, but we have very little rainfall. And that's because Alberta is flanked by mountains along BC's border. So when evaporation of water happens and wind pushes the clouds towards us, they don't get very far because they hit the mountains and then they drop all their water / snow on the mountains and then kind of travel over to us. Okay, so you see different variations of rainfall based on different physical features that may stop. So when it comes to biomes, we then have a large variety. So I've said this now that we're talking biosphere, which is the world, all of the 3 different parts that interact. But now the biome itself is now dealing with the amount of rain and the amount of how hot it is. So if we look at the particular mix of plants and animals and all the organisms living under those conditions, we can break our world into different biomes according to temperature and precipitation. So how this works is the more rain that falls and the hotter it is, the more tropical rainforest you're going to see. So you can see that here on the graph. Large amounts of water, very high temperatures, okay? That is a biome. The tropical rainforest is a biome. Now, if we think about just how hot a place is, the rainforest gets the most rain. The savanna, which is found in Africa, okay, gets a little bit of rain. So it gets its own biome because although its temperature is very hot, its precipitation is a little bit lower. And then if we think of a desert, like the Sahara Desert or the Gobi Desert, where there's very little rain that falls, it's still really hot, like a rainforest, but now we don't see any precipitation. So within a range of hot areas, we have a variety of biomes based on how much rain falls. We can also do it in the amount of how much rain does fall and temperature this way. So you can see here, this is the tundra, okay, and a semi-desert. A tundra or the Arctic is also a type of desert, except instead of being a hot desert, it's a cold desert because it doesn't rain or snow very much. Well, it has lots of snow, but it doesn't have a lot of mean annual precipitation, okay? So you can use this to see all the varieties and different types of biomes that we have all over the world. So when we think about climate and rainfall, these are what we call abiotic factors. They are non-living conditions or things like climate or a habitat of an animal that influences or affects the ecosystem and the organisms in it. So the large factors that have influences on biomes are like temperature, water, soil conditions, sunlight. So if you think about it, the more sunlight you have, the more rain that falls, the more plants you have. The more plants you have, the better living conditions or variety of living conditions you have for animals. So you're going to have more animals in a place like a rainforest than you would a desert because the temperature, the amount of water, the type of soil, and the amount of sunlight varies in each. So that's how we can tell the difference between biomes is again, climate versus temperature. So we will be talking next time on adaptations. I will talk to you soon.